going to talk about kind of a different aspect of Bitcoin. We're in Breez, what our mission, what we're trying to do, we're trying to bring peer-to-peer electronic cash to everyone, and we're betting on Bitcoin as the way to do that. I think what we're trying to do is to realize Satoshi's vision of using Bitcoin as peer-to-peer electronic cash, and there's a lot of problems right now that are preventing us from doing so, and we're trying to tackle at least some of the problems. Our way to go about it is by integrating the best tools in the market in order to provide the best developer experience that someone can have in order to integrate Bitcoin and Lightning payments into their own solution. We'll talk about it in a second. So basically, what's the problem in the world right now? The problem that what we're trying to solve is that we have the internet, and the internet is a great venue of exchanging information, but people can't really move value the same way they're moving information. And that is really inherent to the problems that are preventing us from doing so are inherent to the existing fiat system. So fiat ecosystem by design are creating walled gardens that preventing us from exchanging information in an interoperable way across different parties. They're working in a fiat mindset, meaning they're not digital and they're not open 24/7. And even fintech solutions that kind of came to resolve these issues are just building digital layers on top of existing banking systems. So we don't have an inherent digital asset that we can move as part of the internet experience. So the promise of Bitcoin, of being magic internet money, doesn't really work right now because you don't use Bitcoin as the asset and as the way to move value across different applications, different services. And I think that's kind of preventing people from moving value. We think there's a lot of potentials in moving value. Think about even the applications that you're using on a daily basis. Let's say TikTok, Twitter, all the mobile applications that you're using. Most of them are lacking financial instruments because that's the problem. There's no way to inherently embed digital money experience in this solution. You can't really tip a TikToker, and you can't really send money to someone that posts something on Twitter. And there's a lot of capital that is locked within this opportunity. And what we're trying to do is to unlock this opportunity. We still think that Bitcoin has the best chance of being a global currency and the global currency of the internet. It's a design principle, the fact that it's permissionless, borderless, and now with Lightning Network and Liquid infrastructure, we can move it fast. We think that Bitcoin has the best chance of being a global currency and unlock this value transfer among different entities, different apps and services. So let's talk about Lightning in a second. We talked about Liquid during the day, but I want to kind of reiterate Lightning. So Lightning was supposed, Breez is one of the oldest Lightning companies. We started building on Lightning in 2018. Lightning was supposed, was overhyped as a scaling solution for Bitcoin. We were one of the first companies to build on the Lightning Network, and the Lightning was sold as a solution for Bitcoin scaling, but I think it didn't deliver on this promise for various reasons. One of the reasons is that it's still tied to the Bitcoin main chain. Lightning is working, technically is working using payment channels, but in order to use a payment channel, you need to do a UTXO transactions in the main chain, and that costs money, and that at itself, at some point, doesn't scale. But Lightning has a great advantage. And that's the hugest and the biggest opportunity in the Lightning Network. It's a great interoperable layer, meaning the fact that Lightning as a layer 2 solution doesn't require you to hold a state, and it doesn't require you to bring your entire network into a walled garden, is the biggest advantage of the Lightning Network. It's very easy to interrupt using the Lightning Network. So let me kind of drill down into that and try to explain, because we see a proliferation of different layer 2s now, but every layer 2 that is being built on Bitcoin is trying to create yet another network effect in order to bring people and pull people into their own network. What you can do with Lightning, you can actually create bridges between different layers 2s, between different enterprises, and between even end users. So everyone can participate in the Lightning Network just by opening a Lightning channel. So for example, if Marco is working on Arc, and Marco is trying to create a network effect for people to transact on Arc, the only thing he needs to do in order to talk Bitcoin with other layer 2s and other parties is to open a Lightning channel from Arc, and then Arc becomes interoperable with Liquid, with Cashew, with other layer 2s that will also support Lightning as a protocol. So what we see right now is a transformation of Lightning from a kind of an inherent puristic scaling solution to a solution that becomes the glue and becomes the interoperable layer between multiple layers 2. And I think that's a change that we're realizing and implementing right now. But it gives Bitcoin a huge advantage over other networks and other layer 2 in the Ethereum world. Meaning the fact that you can speak Lightning and you're using Bitcoin as a bearer asset, that's a step forward in the realization of Bitcoin becoming a global currency. And I think that's huge, and I think that people don't really yet understand the potential of that. Someone asked previously to Oleg why build on Bitcoin. I think the main reason is because you're using, when you build on Bitcoin and you use Bitcoin as a bearer asset, that means you're going to be interoperable with other networks, other layers, other institutions that are also building on Bitcoin. And that doesn't exist in Ethereum. It does exist with liquidity pools, but then you take a counterparty risk that you shouldn't really take. And that doesn't, Lightning solves that problem. So we really see a transformation of Lightning evolves from a scaling protocol to a transactional protocol. And I think there's a lot of work to do in that regard in order to help people embed Lightning into their own solutions. That's basically what we're trying to do with the Breez SDK. So what is the Breez SDK? Breez SDK is an open source library that everyone can use. What we aim to do with the Breez SDK is to provide developers an holistic solution to integrate Lightning. Lightning requires it has a high barrier of entry. It's very hard to understand Lightning. In order to integrate Lightning, you need to be a Lightning expert. You need to work years in the space in order to build a decent solution. What we're trying to do, we're trying to augment the reach of Lightning by providing the right tools for developers to embed Lightning and Bitcoin payments into their own solutions. And if people will embed, we want to abolish wallets. Basically, there's a lot of chatter and a lot of discussions about wallet, use this wallet or use that wallet. We think the concept of wallet is wrong. We don't need to pull people into wallets. We need to bring Bitcoin where people already transact and where people already spend their time. And we won't be able to do that if we're constantly thinking in the term of wallet, because wallet at itself is another walled garden. So basically, the idea with the SDK, why are we so focused on on the developer experience right now because we want developers to embed the Bitcoin experience in their own solution instead of creating other apps, other wallets in order to try and create a network effect around Bitcoin that way. If we meet people where they spend their time already, then we'll be able to change people's mindset about using Bitcoin as a digital asset. And unlike banks and unlike this transitional financial system, everything is peer-to-peer and everything is trustless. And I think that's the biggest value proposition. The SDK is focused on providing an end-to-end experience. It's frictionless. Everyone is talking about Bitcoin, so what's the value proposition of using Bitcoin as a mean of payment? The value proposition of Bitcoin is using it as a mean of payment is the fact that you get peer-to-peer transactions. Peer-to-peer transactions, by definition, means that you can develop global solutions, meaning TikTok can embed Bitcoin as a mean of payment, then Bitcoin become accessible to all TikTok users globally because there's no jurisdictional barriers in interoperating like you have with current fiat systems. There's no KYC AML as a result of the fact that your transaction in a peer-to-peer manner means that you don't have any KYC AML restrictions. It's a global solution. I said already it's an interoperable solution because all solutions that are speaking Lightning, you're becoming interoperable with other Lightning solutions. Coinbase supports Lightning, Kraken supports Lightning, Binance supports Lightning. Other fintechs, we're talking to large fintech institutions, they're going to support Lightning soon. So every entity that has a Lightning interface, you're suddenly becoming interoperable with these entities. And it's very easy to integrate. Of course, all the advantages of Bitcoin, keys are held by the users. We are very focused, again, on app support, integrating Lightning into mobile applications. That means that we need to think in a way that SaaS services provide their own solutions. We provide a very simple API to send payment, to receive payment, but it needs to work across apps, it needs to work across devices, and the experience needs to be seamless. Just like you're using Stripe, we want you to be able to use Bitcoin in the same manner that you're using Stripe. Okay, so let's get to kind of the nitty-gritty details, and I want to talk about Liquid in that regard. So Lightning is super complicated. In order to participate in the Lightning ecosystem, you need to run a Lightning node. With the help of Greenlight, we've been leveraging Blockstream products for a while now, and with the help of Greenlight, we've been able kind of to simplify the Lightning experience into a point that you don't need to run your own node because you're leveraging the Blockstream infrastructure and you're leveraging the Greenlight infrastructure of running nodes in the cloud. We solved the inbound liquidity problem by creating this entity called an LSP. An LSP is a Lightning service provider that very similarly to an ISP simplifies, the goal of an LSP is to connect end users to the Lightning network. And we provide that inherently inside the Breez SDK. You don't need to think where your liquidity going to come from. We provide you with out-of-the-box liquidity. And we provide you with all the other services and capabilities you need in order to integrate Lightning payments into your solution. The problem with Greenlight, the problems that Greenlight doesn't solve and the problems that LSPs doesn't solve is the fact that you are still integrated directly to the main chain. Meaning, when you want, as a user, to participate and to accept a Lightning payment, you still need to pay an on-chain fee. And when fee spikes, that creates a lot of friction. That's one thing. The other thing is the fact that we weren't really able, we tried, but we weren't really able to obfuscate completely the channel management experience that you have in Lightning. In Lightning, you open channels. We were able kind of to deal with that really nicely and obfuscate that complexity from end users, but channels get closed as well. And when channels get closed, that creates yet another friction point to end users because first, they don't know what happened, why someone kicked them out of the Lightning Network. But even worse than that, they need to pay another on-chain fee in order to exit from Lightning, and that's create another friction. And that's where Liquid comes into play. In Liquid, so we have two flavors of the SDK now. One is the native flavor where we build on Greenlight. The other flavor is what we call a nodeless implementation of the SDK, meaning you can, as a developer, you can integrate Lightning payments to your solution without running a end user node, without running nodes in the network at all. And how does it work? You hold your funds in Liquid. Liquid, we're taking a very narrow advantage of Liquid in the sense that we're leveraging the new confidential transaction fees that are much less expensive than the Bitcoin main chain. And we're leveraging the fact that the pegging aspect of Liquid, the fact that you have Bitcoin, but they're not really Bitcoin main chain Bitcoin, they're LBTCs, but that gives you a good enough Lightning experience in order to interop with the Lightning Network. And the way that it works is by using, users are actually holding their Bitcoins in a Liquid wallet, but they have an interface to the Lightning Network using atomic swaps. We're leveraging the Boltz protocol and the Boltz service of atomic swaps. So whenever you want to make a Lightning transaction, you're actually doing a submarine swap to the Lightning Network. And whenever you want to receive a payment in Lightning, you're doing a swap into Liquid. So we're using Liquid as a way to hold the funds and interoperating with the Lightning Network using submarine swaps. And that creates a much better frictionless user experience. Users don't need to pay setup fees in order to enter the Lightning Network. There's no channel management, and the entire developer experience and end user experience becomes much more seamless. We just released the Nodeless implementation a few months ago, and we're already seeing huge traction among companies adopting the Nodeless implementation. I think the thing with Bitcoin is that we always built a product for the Bitcoin ecosystem. What we're trying to do is we're trying to expand beyond the Bitcoin ecosystem right now and bring Lightning to crypto companies. So from a go-to-market standpoint, what we're doing, we're kind of stepping out of the Bitcoin ecosystem and engaging with crypto companies. We want crypto companies to adopt Lightning as a first-class citizen protocol. And a lot of them are opting for the Nodeless implementation because they don't really care about the trust profile of Liquid. They are used to integrating multiple chains with multiple trust profiles, and they have no issues in integrating Liquid in that regard. So if you look at our pipeline, all the Bitcoin companies are using the native implementation because they want for their users to hold Bitcoin as a bearer asset, but crypto companies are going for the Liquid implementation because they don't mind compromising, quote unquote, with the Liquid trust profile and the integration instead of spending weeks. So we reduce the time for integrating Lightning from years to weeks. But with the Nodeless implementation, it takes days. So we really change the order of magnitude when integrating Lightning into apps and services. There's still some stuff to do, and we have a long roadmap ahead in order to create a multi-app, a true multi-app experience where the user have a single balance across multiple apps. We're implementing a real-time sync. We're going to support Bolt 12 for the geeks in the audience for more private Lightning transactions. We are planning to add WebAssembly support. Currently, we're supporting multiple development languages, Flutter, React Native, and mostly focused on app development, but with the WebAssembly support, we'll be able to support web apps as well. And the possibilities of integrating Bitcoin as a global currency are really endless. I started Breez 6 years ago. We dabbled in different application experiences, including something called Podcasting 2.0, where everyone can listen to a podcast, and while listening to a podcast, stream Satoshis to the content creator. So the opportunities of building solutions around natively, inherently transmitting digital value to content creator is huge. Embedding value in social networks, that's another vertical. In-game currencies, cross-border remittance. I think, again, I think that the possibilities are endless, and the possibility lies in the convergence of how do you converge transferring value when you transfer information. I don't think we explored this space enough because we didn't have the means to move value the way we move information. But once we'll have the means to move value the way we move information, the applications that you can build on top of it are endless. I always give the example of a digital camera. So when the digital camera came out, it didn't really change human behavior. It just replaced the old film camera. We still took pictures the same way that we used to take pictures using the film camera. And yes, you had a better way to develop your pictures, and yes, maybe it was less expensive, but it didn't really change human behavior. Just the convergence of the digital camera experience together with mobile, then the human behavior completely changed. Now we can sit at dinner without taking a picture first. And that's what really kind of transformed human behavior. And 10 years ago, you couldn't imagine that the digital camera experience will be so entrenched and so embedded in our day-to-day life. I think the same going to happen with Bitcoin. The problem is that everyone is looking at Bitcoin right now as a way to replace, in their mindset, they're looking at Bitcoin as a way to replace current fiat systems. That's not going to be the hockey stick of Bitcoin adoption in mainstream. The hockey stick of Bitcoin adoption in mainstream going to be a convergence of digital experience, new digital experience that will enable people to transfer value the way they transfer information. Maybe AI convergence, we don't know, I don't know. But what we want to do is to provide the tools to developers to build these future experiences. Some of the companies that we're working right now that are embedding our SDK, most of the companies here are using the Greenlight native SDK. I can't still share the partners that are embedding the Nodeless implementation. I'll hope to do that in a few months, but we have some big names in the pipeline coming. Most of these companies are Bitcoin, from the Bitcoin ecosystem. We have Elysium that are sitting over there that are also integrating the SDK. But these companies, Relay, Bringing, Sato, Lipa, they can't really embed Lightning payments into their solution without something like a Breez SDK. They have to transform their business into a Lightning business if they want to add the Lightning experience. With the Breez SDK, finally they have a solution and they can interop with other Lightning providers. I think you're going to see a different type of customers coming from that are implementing the Nodeless implementation, that are using Liquid in order to embed Lightning payments. You'll see much more crypto names here and less Bitcoin focused. Yep, thank you.